Hi, someone in our class today asked if I would point them to a place where they could walk through a tutorial on the things that we did in class today. There actually are some really good tutorials out there online. Lynda.com is a great site. It does require a subscription fee. There's a lot of other online Flash communities, and I encourage you to always be open and to look those up and do some investigating on your own if you have questions, and also to come see me if you have questions. I'd be happy to do anything I can to help you. Today I thought what I'd do is do a quick tutorial on the things that we did in class. So I'm going to show you a real simple frame-by-frame animation, and also show you some tween animation, and then some of the principles we covered on frames and keyframes and blank keyframes. As you can see, I've got a blank keyframe right now, which means there's nothing on my stage, there's nothing on my timeline. I'm going to start by doing a frame-by-frame animation again of a pacMan. And so I want my pacMan to be yellow. I'm going to go ahead and choose that with no stroke, and I'm going to choose the circle tool, and then go ahead and just draw on that keyframe a circle. So on that layer, I'm going to label it circle, and I'll make another layer. Make another layer and call it eye. And on that layer, I'm going to put a black circle for his eye. Okay, now I've got one point in time. I've got the closed mouth state occurring at this one point in time. If I want that to change, then I need to put in a keyframe. So right here, I'm going to click on the next point in time and hit F6 to insert a change. So here's one state, and this will become the next state. And in this state, I want to have an open mouth. So I'm going to draw a square, and I'm going to select that and rotate it using the free transform tool. And I'll put his mouth right there, let go, and then I could just drag this. Notice it cut the mouth out of the pacMan. Now I can delete that shape. Okay, and now I need his eye to also appear because I've got two frames. So right now it does that, but I need his eye on the next frame as well. So I'm going to put in an F6 or a keyframe at that point, and it looks to me like his eye, ought to be in a different place when he opens his mouth. So now I should have something that looks like that. Problem is, it's going to be very fast. So in a, let's see, 2/12, or I guess 1/6 of a second, he should open and close his mouth. That's way too fast. So I'm going to spread these out a little bit by click dragging on those two keyframes, and then I'm going to click again and drag them down to, let's say, frame 4. And then I want his mouth to stay open for 4 more frames. So right here at frame 8, I'm going to insert some frames. Okay, remember, frames indicate that there's no change. Keyframes indicate that there is a change. Now it looks like this closed mouth state is longer than the open mouth state, so I'm going to delete these. I really want those to be equal. So I need to delete those two, which means I don't want to delete the contents, but I want to delete the time or the frames that they exist in. So I'll right click them and choose remove frames, and now I've got exactly what I want, and it should look something like, well, let's test it and show you. Apple enter to test. I've got a good pacMan, open, close mouth. Okay. Now what I want to do is put these layers into a movie clip. I could just copy and paste, but if I do that, then all this information will be collapsed, and I don't want that. I like to have things on layers because it'll give me more control and more ease in working with these graphics later on. So I'm going to highlight them and right click them and cut them. and I cut them off of this stage. So on this stage I'm going to remove the frames and I'm going to trash that layer, and this layer I'm going to call pacMan. Okay, so I cut the frames, and now I'm going to open up a new symbol, an empty movie clip symbol, where I will put pacMan. And in here, I'm going to right click on that keyframe and paste my frames. So then I get all this information back that I had before, so that he'll have an open and a closed mouth position. Okay. Now it's gone off this stage, but it's over here in the library. I can just click and drag this out onto my main stage. And here I won't see him opening and closing his mouth because that happens inside this pacMan movie clip. But if I test it, Apple Enter, then I will see the animation, that simple frame by frame animation. Now what I want to do is go back out to scene 1 and make this move across the stage. So I'm going to drag this point, at this point in time, I'm going to drag him over off the left-hand side. And let's say I want it to take 3 seconds, so at 36 frames, I will hit F6 to insert that many frames and a keyframe at that point. And at that point, I want him to be over here off this side of the stage. And I want Flash to create the in-between frames for me. So with the timeline selected before the final keyframe, I'm going to choose Tween Motion. Motion, remember, is for movie clips. So with this motion tween, then he should move across the stage. Now, you might say he's not moving his mouth. Well, he isn't moving it here because on this timeline, all we see is the container of this movie clip. But if we go inside of that movie clip, then we'll see the animation of his mouth opening and closing. Okay? So very simple way to make a frame by frame and a tween animation. And I hope that made sense to you. Let me know if you have any other questions. Thanks.